I am that I am, Saint Germain in service, and I welcome you all tonight. It's been an interesting time since our last gathering, and I did say in the previous gathering that it would be a time of revelation, of upheaval for some, but also a time of deep cleansing and renewal, coming back to that which you are, the shedding of that which you are not. And this has taken its toll on some. Others have moved through it easier. With grace, they have come forth to accept the changes that are occurring within themselves and therefore occurring on the outer planes also. This is an auspicious time, and I do want to keep driving this home, as although the world appears to be becoming more chaotic on the surface, it means that which was underlying is now being given space to shine through. Now, I did speak of the nervous system and the body having a hard time keeping up with these new energies and keeping up with the flow and the change of consciousness and the vibrations on this planet. And I know that many of you who are sitting here and others who may listen to this later have been experiencing this. There has been a heightened sense of anxiety, of worry, of stress. But I say to you, dear ones, there is no reason for this. There is no need to hold on to this anxiety. Yes, the body is having a hard time keeping up with the energies and the changes and the shifts. But you do not need to buy into that. That is the body's journey. And if you can sit in your own stillness, if you can come back to the I am, you will realize that you have the power to still your body, to nurture it, to bring alive the cells in an understanding that everything is okay. The body will tell the mind that it is time to worry, that something is wrong and it needs fixing. This is not the case. So if you can come from the state of the I am in your own presence and with compassion tell the cells of your body that it is okay, then you will find that your mind eases. You may still feel the fatigue, but this is okay. What I am concerned about is the well-being of souls going through this process, and to make all souls understand that they themselves have the power to, I guess you could say, manipulate how this works out for them, the situations. And I do not mean about controlling outcomes. I mean more in terms of how you deal with what arises. You are not a slave to your body. You are not a slave to your mind. Remember this in these times. You are always safe. There is nothing to fear. And you will know soon of which direction it is that you have decided at a soul level to walk. This is important because at this point, at this gateway, if you want to call it that many of the souls walking the ascension path have gotten to, is that this gateway now says, you must leave all of this behind. You must leave everything that you had identified with, everything that you had created a personality around at the door. Because if you do not, then you cannot step over the threshold. It is not possible. So do remember when you get to this point, and you will know because you have all been having those instances where you stop yourself midway through an old pattern and you go, oh, that isn't me, or why am I doing that? This is going to become more and more common as you keep moving forward. And that complete loss of the sense of self, of which humans place so much emphasis upon, is going to drop away. And for some of you it already has, or you are in the process of being close to the completion. And this can also cause anxiety in itself. It can also cause a low mood because the mind does not know how to act. The mind does not know how to navigate from that place of which you just are. You are a being. You are that which is now in this moment. And I do not want to say time and space because they in themselves can be an illusion. But in this now moment, you are being. And the outward and the inner also, when you look at the mind and how it drives each individual soul's personality, isn't actually real. It is and it isn't. This reality that you find yourselves in is real on one level, and on another it is not. It is a creation. So do remember that. This is your creation. You are not a slave to anyone. You are not a slave to circumstance or other souls. Those who still sit in the power play will soon find that that game does not work anymore. That game has lost its momentum, and that it will not get them where they think it will. Those old power structures are falling. And as the divine feminine comes in, as she softly moves her energy in accordance of balance with the divine masculine, and the divine masculine comes back to his divinity and not the twisted form of which it has been manifesting from for years, those old power games cannot exist anymore. And that is why the old structures are beginning to crumble. And those old structures are also those which have been instilled in the personality and the mind of each and every being who sits here. So remember that your structures are falling. They are crumbling. And when you are at a loss as to what to do when you find that you may just feel a sense of blankness, or you may move to anxiety, or you may feel down. You may just feel neutral, and there can be a sense of confusion also. But this is because your soul is now calling you from a higher perspective and saying it is time to stop looking through the human eyes. Because those human eyes have been programmed for centuries in untruths. And your souls are now asking to escape this, to jump out and come forth to that leap of consciousness that will bring them closer to what feels like home. Remembering that home is yourself, the I am. And when you are in the full flow, when you fully connect in with the I am, then you will understand what fulfillment is. You will understand that you need nothing, and you will want for nothing. It does not take away the joy of living, however. For when you come back to your center, to your stillness, when you dwell in the I am, you stop placing emphasis on an external object bringing you a certain kind of fulfillment. And when you stop doing that, then you can actually enjoy this external form in its full beauty, in its full being, without any preconceived ideas or notions or expectations placed upon it. And that, dear ones, is pure joy, and it is your divine gift by right. I will also note that many of you have started to lose your attachment to possessions. And there is a great disillusionment with the entire paradigm, particularly in the West, where one must earn a living, buy a house, buy objects for the house, maybe take a holiday every now and then, and keep doing that until you retire. Humans are worn out by this. It's time to let it go, and this idea also is fairly recent. It is something that really was ingrained in the 20th century. And many are now saying this does not work. But how do I break out of that pattern? How do I get off that treadmill? And in that, it is important to remember that when you push against something, when you fight against something, it will become stronger. Those old power games, that's what it comes back down to. But if you come back to yourself, if you come back to that stillness within, and you allow those structures to be what they are, and this takes great courage, to allow that which you do not agree with to be. But in that, you gain your own power back. And I do not talk about power in that old paradigm. I am speaking from that place of creation. So if you can allow that creation that you see there that you do not agree with, or that soul who you do not agree with, and let them be as they are, then all of a sudden you will find you will open new doorways for yourself, and it will be easier for you to walk away because there is that acceptance there. And through that acceptance, you no longer hold on to that energy. If you are constantly fighting against something, if you are constantly thinking about something, then you're holding that energy in your space constantly, which makes it harder to move out of. So bringing in that awareness of acceptance frees you. It completely liberates you. Let that structure be what it is, and I will go and do whatever it is that feels right to me. It is not your place to step in and tell other beings that their existence is wrong. I know that humans on some level have a certain level of responsibility, and I'm not saying that you all must become pacifists, but the true change that you want to see in this world and in yourselves comes from within. These structures will not change if you tackle them from a human level, because those other beings which are involved do not have the consciousness to understand even why the structure needs to change, or to even understand the language of which you speak. And you may be speaking the same language, but the understanding is different. Words can have many different meanings, and for those whose consciousness has not arisen to a certain level will find that beings such as yourself, if you start to appeal to them on that soul level, they will not understand. They will either think that you're crazy, or you may make them irrationally angry, or they may even laugh. But they will not meet you at that level. But if you allow them to be as they are, and come back to yourself and continue to work on your consciousness, the collective consciousness will also raise. And these old structures, of which many of you are not agreeing with anymore, will begin to fall also. That is how it is happening now on the planet, with the cracks that we are seeing in certain institutions, and including the monetary system, the banking system, and those sorts of structures. It's because consciousness is raising that these systems are having a hard time existing. These lower vibrating structures cannot exist in a higher vibration. But that is also why there is conflict, because where the ego is challenged, it will lash out in an attempt to protect itself. There is great fear in that, and a great lack of consciousness. So have compassion for those who do act out in ways like that. So this year we'll see much more of this changing and this evolution and this divide, but also those who have taken the next step, as I spoke of last time. Those who have gone from being unconscious and now they are in their exploration. And this can also cause a little bit of upheaval in that they And I am sure all of you at some stage can relate to this, but many souls, when they just first start out, feel that they've got it all figured out. They become the little gurus in themselves, and this can cause conflict with others. But I say, let the other gurus be gurus and let them on their journey. Because if you begin to preach back at them, then you've lowered yourself to their level. Let them have their own journey of self-discovery. Just as you must all allow yourselves to have that journey of discovery. And you're not doing anything wrong. You can't make a foot wrong. So do stop judging yourselves and stop questioning whether you are actually going in the right direction, because there is no right direction. It's whatever direction you choose. So allow yourself to fall into that full expression of creation and enjoy it. It isn't meant to be a drudgery. And the more you bring that lightheartedness in, even if you are completely confused because nothing is really speaking to you anymore, you will find new doorways and dimensions will open out anyway. And if the mind starts chattering and saying, what are you doing? This is crazy. Or, this isn't fun. You shouldn't be doing this. Do this old thing that's fun. Just pay it no mind. Because the mind will start to, I guess you can say, it will start to dissipate a little in the new forms of expression and experiences that you're reaching for now, because it can't really comprehend or exist in that space. So just flow with it. No more resistance. I've seen a lot of resistance in many of you. Just let it unfold. Trust yourself. Allow that divine dance. And just keep coming back to the I am. Keep coming back to your center. You can do no wrong. Are there any questions?
I have a question about animal signs from nature. Are there signs, or is it just coincidence sometimes when you see something?
You will attract to you what you need at the time. And if you are someone that resonates with animal signs, then you will create that for yourself. And other beings too who guide you and look after you will see that that is a sign or a guidepost that you look for, and will assist in the manifestation of that animal which needs to convey a message to you at the time. So no, it is not a coincidence, and it is a beautiful and very earthy expression of spirit, and I guess you could say in the offering of advice and signposts and ways of navigating. If that is what speaks to you, then keep moving with it. But that is also why others do not quite understand or resonate with it. But they might seek consolation or communication in other ways. But you look at it as a way in which you communicate with yourself. And that in itself is beautiful. Are there any other questions?
have a question. Is there anything that we can do at the moment, like if we're feeling the anxiety and all those things that you've spoken about, is there any chants or mantras or meditations that we can specifically do to help our physical bodies kind of relax more?
In this space, I'm going to ask you to really begin to cultivate a new relationship with your body. So I'm not going to ask you to do meditations or chants or anything in that regard, but what I am going to ask you to do is to come to a quiet space, and you can practice this every day, where you are fully conscious and aware of your body, and spend some time communicating with it. You will find that the more you speak to your body and the more you are aware of being in it, the cells will begin to respond to you and light up in ways in which you have not noticed before. And the cells of your body respond very well to that nurturing of the soul. And it is very soothing to the body to do this, to be present, to express your appreciation, to express your love, and to communicate to your body that it is okay, that this is just another change, and that all is going to be well. So if you can create that channel of communication with your soul and your body, you will find that even though your body may fatigue or may struggle at times, your stillness will help to keep it up. So remember once again that you are not a slave to the body, and if you can come back to yourself and understand that you are a divine soul, then you will find the peace in there. And if you come back to your heart center, your feeling center, you will find it easier. It is a good gateway for you in which to experience your soul as it is integrated into a body. But that stillness which you are can override those feelings, can override any pain or anything else that might be going on in the body. So learning to communicate with your body and also learning to come back to the I am, to come back to your stillness, you will transcend any feelings of anxiety anyway. Do not let yourself become a slave to the chemicals that make up your body. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Are there any other questions?
I have one just about soul contracts. There's a lot of teachers on the planet that talk about soul contracts. They fully believe that they have one, that we all have one before we incarnate onto the planet. I'm not so sure about it myself. I was at one stage, but now I'm questioning that, and that it might be just a way to make us feel like we've got some sort of sense of purpose while we're here. But as I've grown, I don't feel like we necessarily have some great purpose. That our purpose is just unravelling every day, and it's just to create and be and to experience. And I guess I just want some feedback on that from your experience.
And what you say is correct. You know, I guess when you consider this realm and consider it as a place of creation, some souls do have certain ideas of what they want to achieve when they come here. They might have agreements with other souls, and they might decide that they will do certain things, but it is not a given, and it's not necessary either. There is no real grand plan or purpose per se. It is all the divine expression of being. But there are some who do come here with a purpose or an intention in mind. So not everyone on this planet will come with a contract, as humans like to call it. And if they do come here with a certain purpose or an agreement with another soul, they're not bound by it. If they feel that they are bound by it, then they are once again stuck in the old power play paradigms. They are free to do whatever they choose. And many souls who do come here decide that their particular intention, of which is usually carried forth from a past life or several past lives, is no longer valid, and that is no longer necessary. So they won't continue on with that intention. And this can sometimes cause conflicts if this intention was brought forth with another soul or a group of souls, and this one soul does not want to play the game anymore, so to speak. And this is quite common now with the changing of the energies on Earth, and particularly with family groups and ancestry and different friendship circles and things like that. There is this breaking away of souls who have gone, I do not feel that this goal or what it is that we are seeking to create is relevant anymore, and they are transcending that need. Because there are a lot of souls who come to this planet who have that need. They haven't quite reached a higher level of consciousness which says to them that this is just divine creation. So it really depends on which sort of level that you are tapping into. But no, there's no real grand soul contract for everyone. Agreements, intentions, some come with none. They just want to experience what it is like to live in a body on Earth. But some can get quite caught up in the duty of soul contracts, and as I said previously, this is, I guess you could almost see it as a karmic connection that they've carried forth from other lives. There are other times when a being will come to the planet and will have agreements with other souls who are staying on the other side. And they might come with an intention or a purpose of which they will want to fulfill or create when they are here. And the beings on the other side will assist them in that. But once again, that soul isn't bound, and it's not a given that someone is going to come with that kind of agreement. And it really depends on the individual, because each now moment brings forth changes and different situations which might make the original agreements redundant. And there are some souls that do get stuck. They don't actually realize that whatever intention that they came to Earth with actually does not work anymore, particularly as the energies are changing as they are. And they will soon get themselves into a stagnant pattern which they have a hard time breaking out of. But that is all just another part of of this creation and of the human and earth experience. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Just on another point, just programming, we spoke about programming before. I can't remember if we spoke about chakras, so I just wanted to bring it up again. There's still a lot of people that focus on chakras. Our yoga system focuses on chakras, energy healing and so forth. Is this really just another program? Do we need to come back to our most authentic selves? Do we just need to dispel all of that as well and just come back to the heart?
Not necessarily. In order for a soul to actually be able to manifest in this reality and to have a presence here and to be able to work and utilize particles, they do have to have some sort of an energetic structure in order to function in, basically. So the chakra system is quite it's a very watered down and basic idea of what is actually going on in the energy system. When you start to get further into the meridians and the energy lines and points, you start to get closer. But there does have to be a certain energetic structure in order for the soul to be able to connect to the body and to be able to exist in this plane. So it's not something that you can really throw off unless you do not wish to work in the physical realm anymore. But yeah, it's very rudimentary. But in terms of what the human mind can understand right now, the chakra system works quite well. And when humans will do certain yoga poses or chant certain mantras, they are actually lighting up different areas of that energetic grid. And that energetic grid connects them to the greater energetic grid of this reality also. So blockages can happen, particularly when the human mind gets quite caught up in this reality. So those things do help the human to transcend anything which can get caught in that energetic field. So it does serve a purpose, although it's not something to really get too caught up in, because once again, if you are in the full flow of who you are, as you were saying, if you come back to the I am, then you're not going to have any trouble with your energetic field. It'll be in harmony. There won't be need to use human techniques in order to fix it or whatever it is that humans like to do. Does this answer your question?
Yes, I think so. There are other teachers that are now talking about the chakra system as being a way of controlling humans from other entities in the fourth dimension.
Once again, they're stuck in that old power paradigm. No soul has any control over another soul, and they cannot use the energetic field of another soul to control them unless that soul gives them permission. But no, that was not the intended purpose of having this energetic grid of which anchors you here in this reality. I am sure that there are beings which can control others through manipulating their energy fields, but once again, that the person who is being controlled has to give their permission for that experience to occur. They cannot be touched if they are truly as themselves. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Are there any other questions?
I have another question. I can't remember if I have already asked this, because I asked it a lot in different situations. But when you dream about someone who's still alive, but like you don't talk to them anymore, are they trying to contact you? Or like is it just your own subconscious rubbish about them?
It can be both. Just because you do not have contact with a being physically anymore doesn't mean that you won't seek other means to have contact with them, and it's very easy in sleep to connect on the astral planes, in other realities. But you will know this in your own intuition. You will know the difference between dreams of which the subconscious mind is bringing forth images, and other times when you are actually making a soul connection with someone on a different plane. But it's not necessarily one or the other, it can be both. So with that, I would like to draw this evening to a close. I ask you all to take a deep breath, to really connect in to your bodies, to feel every limb, the air on your skin, how your clothes feel on your body, how you as a soul feel with a body. It's very healing for the body to do this. And do know that whatever the body is experiencing, you can transcend. I am Saint Germain in service, and I thank you for coming to this gathering.